Welcome to Phil Wilson Chats with Celebrities. And here's your host, Phil Wilson.
When you've had a career as successful as Eduard Shyfrin and at 63 or nearing retirement age, you might decide to go travelling, put your feet up, but not if you're Eduard. His superb debut album, Upside Down Blues, with his multi-talented band, the Shyfrin Alliance, Unconditional, is the second single from the album. And Eduard is joining us now to chat about it and joins me now. How are you doing, Eduard?
Fine, I'm thanking you.
Yes, I'm absolutely fabulous. Thank you very much. It's great to speak to you. As soon as that music...
Great to speak to you too.
It's wonderful. As soon as your album was given to me by the promotions team, I thought this is absolutely fantastic. Total breath of fresh air. I mean, I can't believe this, that when I've read from the age of 7 until 14, you studied classical piano, the history and theory of music, and choral singing at the School of Music in Ukraine, where you grew up. And it was, in fact, during the COVID lockdowns that you resumed lessons in piano, guitar, and vocals, and happily discovered your talent again for music and composition. What was the feeling like when you reignited your musical talent?
It was a fantastic feeling, because what you learn in childhood, it stays very deep with you all your life. It never goes away. I believe that's the strongest emotions and feelings what you learned in your childhood. And the fact that I came back, it's a gift of God for me.
It certainly is. And do you have, get writing your music and such like? Did you ever do writing before the lockdowns? Had you ever picked up, pen and paper and done any orchestration or anything like that?
All my life, I was friendly with music, but I never ever crossed my mind that I can compose something. I played music. I listened to the music. I love music.
Yes.
I think, but it's never ever, I reiterate, crossed my mind that I can compose. That's still surreal for me.
I bet as well, and in front of the wonderful orchestra that has been on your album as well. But we'll pick up on that a little bit later on. Now, what was the first song that you ever wrote?
The first song which I composed?
Yes, indeed.
It was I See Your Eyes.
I See Your Eyes. Yes, I like that.
I see your eyes. I see your eyes.
I See Your Eyes. Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. And that's on the album, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is. I thought I'd heard that one as well. And what was it like composing the first song? Was it quite difficult? Did you get inspiration immediately, or was it quite a slow process getting the words together? Or do you compose the music first and then do the words?
It varies from composition to composition. For me, the lyrics comes first. I try not to write meaningless lyrics, let's say. If I see that I have a lyrics with a message, then I sit down and compose melodies. Some of the compositions I composed in 1 hour.
Wow.
Some, yes. On the others, I've been working for 3-4 months. Depends. I don't know why that.
And do you have any kind of ritual when you're going to be writing any songs? Do you have to have a nice quiet environment? Do you have to have candles on or anything? Or is it just you can write on the spot kind of thing with maybe your phone and, maybe speak some lyrics and things?
That's a good question, Phil. It's difficult to describe, but actually I'm writing my lyrics, my articles and my music in my brain.
Right. Wow. Amazing.
In my brain. Then I feel all of a sudden that I should approach the piano and check it.
Yes.
Then I go away. And then when I have something like a click inside that it is ready, I sit down and play it.
Absolutely amazing it is. Absolutely amazing. And I hope you've got plenty up there. I think you have plenty songs up there in another 10 albums plus up there.
You never know. At the moment, there is an album. It has 12 compositions, and in a few days' time, I will start arranging another 8 new ones.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Now, after years as a successful businessman, mathematician, and physicist, you followed a secondary career researching Kabbalah and writing a best-selling book on the subject called From Infinity to Man, the Fundamental Ideas of Kabbalah within the Framework of Information Theory and Quantum Physics. For listeners interested in reading your book, could you tell us simply what it's about?
The most difficult thing in life is to tell something simply.
I thought you would say that.
No, that's true. I struggle with that all the time because I believe that conciseness
Yes.
is very good quality. And it's very easy to write 600-page book on the issue. And it's very difficult to compress information into 60 pages.
Exactly, and it's like if you were able to describe it, then you may be describing it and missing out a lot of key aspects in the book, and that's why people will have to pick it up.
Doing this, you should always fight with yourself, restrain yourself, because.
Yes.
But especially today, when people are overwhelmed by information, internet, they don't have time to read 600-page book.
No.
So it's unrealistic. That's why the main problem for me always how to compress the information to the minimum. And I can tell you, it's not a joke. There is a composition, Shakespeare Blues.
There is.
Yes. And people always ask me why it is called Shakespeare Blues. And my answer was that in a few lines, I try to compress the content of all the dramas in the world.
Yes. And I think you have as well, yes, with your song.
And show that it is possible.
Indeed, yes. You can do that within like 3 minutes and a half or whatever.
Yeah. I try to show that the content of the lengthy dramas could be expressed with a few lines.
Exactly, but you've definitely done that. Now, do you think...
No, sorry, I didn't answer your question about what is it about the book.
Yes, please.
Kabbalah, it's a Jewish mysticism.
Right.
Mysticism is translated from Latin like anti-scientific things.
Right.
But what's today anti-scientific, tomorrow will be scientific. There are plenty of examples in physics and everywhere. Let's say theory of general relativity in the 19th century would be considered at best like a fantasy and mysticism. But it is a reality now.
And it's funny when you actually look at things that have happened in films or in magazines and things like that, comics, things over the years. Things are in there, and who would imagine somebody talking on a device to somebody, like when mobile phones came about. I mean, those things were just things in fantasy, and it is quite scary. And like you say, it was anti-science there, and it will become science. All of these things, it's just so, it's quite spooky, really.
Absolutely. And the speciality of my approach is that many people are born in the religious families, and they suck the religion with the milk of their mothers. They don't need let's say, to research something. They just have it from their birth. That's not the case with me. I'm from the secular family, and when I approach Judaism and decided to come back to God, take into account my scientific background. So I considered the Holy Scripture and Kabbalah from the point of view of science. And there were many, many questions and on the surface inconsistencies. But my imperative was that I want to believe in God. So I started searching the existing literature. I didn't find the answers.
No.
And then I said to myself, if it seems that there is a contradiction between Holy Scripture and science, that means that my knowledge is either wrong or incomplete. And I set out on a journey to find the answers for myself and might be for other people. That was my first book, Kabbalah, From Infinity to Man. I've just started compiling my articles. I published in that time more than 50 articles in the Jerusalem Post into a new book with title The Relativity of Death.
Yes, indeed. And do you think you would go on tour with that, with that kind of lecture across the country? Because I bet a lot of people would be interested in that.
You never know. My plan is to publish it. It is going to have 6 parts and upload it on Amazon. And then we will see. I never refuse to give a lecture. Not because I think that I'm saying universal truth. No. Because it's a duty. If people ask you,
Yes.
you should do this. That's why we are here in this world,
Indeed. But yes, we'll look forward to maybe seeing you somewhere doing a lecture in the future on that subject. I'm sure it's going to be a massive success as well online there. Now, do you think, you touched on it there, I think, actually. I was going to ask, do you think people make their own luck, or is a path of life already in us from birth, and is it by conditioning?
Excuse me, say it again. I didn't quite understand the question.
So do you think people make their own luck, or is a path of life already in us from birth and by conditioning?
That's a very difficult question. And it's question, let's say, was raised thousands of years ago, millennia.
Yes.
Millennia was debated by philosophers and religious scholars and scientists. First of all, I'm a believer, and when our soul is created, soul is a structure, informational structure.
Yes.
And it's different for everybody. So at the stage of creation already, soul obtains informational structure, certain capacities.
Yes.
That is defined up there, let's say.
Yes.
Then in this world, we can realize this potential in full. That's one extreme. Or we don't realize it, zero, or we are somewhere in between. That depends on us. But if God decide that we should, let's say, realize it, He can give us a kick.
Yes.
That's what happened to me.
Yes, when you get like the message kind of thing.
That's what happened exactly to me in 2002 when I experienced, let's say, a crisis.
Of course.
After that crisis, I realized that I'm absolutely different personality before and after. Absolutely different. I started asking myself existential questions which I never asked before. And I realized that unless I provide myself an answers, I will not be able to make it normally.
No.
I consider it like a kick of God.
That's right. Yes, hopefully he's giving you a kick into the charts.
But it was very, very difficult. But
yes.
I'm grateful to God that He kicked me.
Indeed. And you've come out, sparkling at the end there and with a nice smile.
In Judaism, the notion of crisis, could be a disaster, could be a God's blessing. Because if you overcome, you will find yourself in a different reality, much higher level.
Yes.
So the crisis is a God blessing, provided you overcome it and you improve, you develop yourself.
That's right. I've had crisis before, and how I'm speaking to you is because it was due to a crisis, and because I had something life-threatening going on with the COVID and everything else, and I nearly died and I had to say goodbye to the family. And what happened is I now say that I'm on my second life. So now I'm like a different person altogether, and it's so unusual, isn't it, to be living that like a different kind of life, and I would say it's a more calmer life as well.
Yeah, that's unusual. That is difficult for me. The events of 2002, it's a clear, let's say, line in the sand in my life.
Of course,
very clear line.
Yes. So yes, it's going to be a bright future for you there. I know that. Now, I will really look forward to reading your book. And
thank you very much.
I would like a signed copy. Wink, wink. I thought I would get that one in there. Now, back to the music, and you're coming into music at the age of 63, but you did say that you have always loved music, but have you always had a burning ambition to make an album?
Never, never ever in my life. Look, I'm a PhD, so I used to write scientific articles.
Yes.
I, I wrote 2 books. I had an ambition to write books, not just for writing, to come up with the new ideas.
Yes.
That is my, let's say, ambition. I'm not sure that I've achieved that, but my ambition, people will remember ideas, and ideas work for people. But never ever crossed my mind, and I've said already that I will compose music and write lyrics,
Indeed, yes. I think with your books and such, like you've been you're educating people, as it were.
Yeah, look, books, it is more familiar realm.
Of course, of
Yes.
course.
I grew up surrounded by the books in our apartment. My late parents, they didn't have a lot of money, but they spent most of the money on the books.
And the books, fabulous.
I
Grew
with the books.
You grew up with the books. That was first. And I hear that you are actually inspired by music that your parents played when you were young. Duke Ellington, Dizzy Gillespie, the fabulous Louis Armstrong, and the lovely Ella Fitzgerald. What is it that you liked particularly about these artists?
You know what? First of all, I didn't have a choice. When I was a kid, my parents adored jazz.
Yeah.
In our very small apartment, there were sounds of jazz. So I've told you what you learn in childhood, I believe, that sits in you very deep and forever. Then in a musical school, we were not taught jazz. It was a classical education.
Right.
But my parents bought me a book with the music sheets of jazz, and I played myself.
Amazing.
For myself. But the jazz attracts me because it's highly entropic. What do you mean? It has endless amount of variations and states. There is no strict order. Yeah? You have a melody, and you can play around you can play around in many different ways.
Yes.
So the jazz gives you this melody, man, and then you do what you want. But people should like it. So there is huge space for creativity here.
Definitely.
Very famous and genius painter, Leonardo da Vinci, he came up with a revolutionary idea, as he said to his fellow atelier, said, never finish the painting in full. Leave a space.
Right.
For imagination. Leave the space for interpretations. Don't be strict. That's a jazz.
It definitely is the jazz as well, because whenever you hear jazz, I mean, it can be somebody on a trumpet or somebody on the saxophone, or the drummer might do something a little bit different. It's like jazz is like a canvas, really, because
give you freedom. It gives you space. You are free to come up with any fantasies.
Yeah. It's lovely. I love jazz. I love jazz.
But I do believe that rock and other, let's say, branches of music, they have their roots in jazz, of course.
Of course they do, because it all started with the jazz as well, didn't it?
The roots of all this music is the jazz.
Indeed. And these days, what music would you be listening to?
Good music.
Good answer. Now, your new album, Upside Down Blues, is magnificent with the Shyfrin Alliance, with all the different styles and singers. How did the alliance form?
I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
And in the business, if you, let's say, enter reality which is alien to you. You should find the right people. That's the first thing to do.
Of
Like,
course.
you should find the end of the rope to pull.
Yes.
Yeah. And I took lessons in vocal, and my teacher, her name is Lizzie Parks.
Yes.
She's based in south of France. She's a brilliant jazz singer. And I realized that Lizzie is very conscientious and she has the connections. And when I decided to start, I asked her to accept the position of the general manager of the project.
Right.
She agreed, and that was, let's say, allegorically the end of the road. Because then she brought a very good arranger, Fred Lusignant. Then she arranged the studios in Paris. Then we gathered very good rock musicians and Orchestra of Paris Opera.
Wow.
It's like one by one.
Yes.
In the business, that's from the business. You should find the end of the rope, I call it,
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So when I've actually seen the fantastic orchestration on your compositions, so you recorded it with the Paris Orchestra, is that right? Over in Paris?
In some of the compositions, where it was necessary.
Yes.
Yes, Paris Orchestra of Paris Opera was employed, yeah.
Because the studio was absolutely amazing there with all of the orchestra there, and the sound was just wonderful.
But these are the best studios in Paris.
I thought you would have the best as well, Eduard, because I think you're like that. You like the best, and you can hear the best, though. You can hear it on your album that you've got the cream of talent there.
I like the saying of the late Sir Winston Churchill. He said, I was always very easily satisfied with the best.
And that's the great way to be as well. I love it. Now, your new single, Unconditional, features, as you mentioned there, Lizzie Parks as guest vocalist, a British jazz singer, songwriter now living in the south of France. And with several acclaimed original albums in her own right, she displays her gentle, sultry tone on this single, bringing a contrasting softness to your spoken word, Eduard. I don't think there's been a composition made like this since Telly Savalas' If, with your words and vocals from Lizzie, and it really sparks that something inside you, as there are lots of messages in the song. But the song, is actually something quite special, the message behind that song, or it's about some very special people in your life. Please, could you tell us about that?
Yes, that's true. The story of this composition is very, very interesting. At one point in life, I realized that I should take lessons in public speaking skills, because I was never trained on that. And since I had to give lectures, I decided to take lessons. And I found a very good teacher in London. Her name is Kate Gilbert. And then took might be 10 lessons, 3 hours length. And during one of the lessons, she gave me a task. She said, you know what? Go back in your thoughts to the place where you were born and try to recall the interior, everything what was inside.
Right.
That was absolutely out of the blue and unexpected, I was born in the small semi-underground apartment in Ukraine. It comprised one living room and a kitchen. That's it.
Wow.
And there were 6 people in one room. Me,
Right.
my parents, my grannies. We were 6 people. It was semi-underground, and I still remember the legs passing by,
Wow, my
child.
goodness.
Yeah. But I was loved there unconditionally by my grannies. It was the happiest time of my life. And all of a sudden, I went my thoughts back to this small apartment. And not only I recalled everything, all the small details.
Yes.
All of a sudden, and that is true, I was overwhelmed by the feeling of great love and warmth. when I transferred myself and my thoughts to this apartment. I was shocked to the bottom. I came back to my apartment, and in half an hour, the Unconditional was ready.
Amazing.
That's very, that's very interesting story, but that's true. That's what actually happened.
Because as soon as you hear the song, you think it's a love song, but then when you look at the title, it's unconditional love, isn't it? It can mean whatever it can mean, all sorts of things to all sorts of people. Like it can be a love song for somebody, or it can be, they can listen to your lyrics and hear that it's about unconditional love, and it says about the like the bodies entwined kind of thing as well, with the lovely orchestration.
But there is another hidden message in this composition also.
Of course, at the start, yes.
Look, unconditional love, it's straightforward. We all need unconditional love. We don't like to be subject to.
Yeah.
But there is a Kabbalistic hidden message here that before the sin of the first man, there were no separation. The notion of right and left, hatred and love, they didn't exist. There was one unconditional mercy.
That's right.
And our job is to get back to the state of the first man before the sin, where everything is unconditional and there is no separation.
You definitely put that message over in the song as well. I absolutely love it. And when it's got Lizzie singing, and then when you're talking there, it's beautiful. Beautiful. So we're going to be hearing that soon in any case. But your album has a lot of tempos and, like you've said, like hidden messages. And on the other, another standout track, which I mentioned earlier on, is Shakespeare Blues, which is a mixture of jazz and rock. Now, the video is fantastic. Did you have fun making?
That's a Whiskey Blues video. Video is Whiskey Blues. There is Shakespeare Blues. I don't have a video at the moment. Maybe
right. Was it Whiskey Blues I've seen?
Whiskey Blues, yes.
Whiskey Blues then. Sorry about that.
No problem at all. No problem.
So what was the video? Did you have fun making that video? Because it looked fabulous.
Sorry? Say it again?
Did you have fun making that video? Because it looked amazing.
Look, I'm working with very talented artists. His name is Remy Baligan.
Yes.
He's very talented, very resourceful, and very creative. And we started working like 1.5 years ago, and immediately realized that he fully comprehended and grasped the ideas of Kabbalah, of the hidden meanings, and his images complement the music and lyrics smoothly, absolutely smoothly, like a part of the single whole. So I continue working with him, and we have in the pipeline another videos on another compositions, one by one. We will upload them.
Of course, because at the moment out there is just like a taster kind of thing, and it has little bits of the videos and the production.
At the moment we have 2 videos. One is the teaser about how it was created.
That's right.
And the second is the Whiskey Blues.
It's the Whiskey Blues.
In pipeline, we have Unconditional video and video on the composition The Cage.
The Cage as well. Excellent. So we'll look forward to seeing those videos when they come out there. And yes, Shakespeare Blues. You will see that one eventually soon as well. Now, the vinyl revival is upon us, so I must ask you, Eduard, what was the first album you ever bought, and what track would you play me as your favorite?
A very good question. In the Soviet Union, the tracks with the Western music were not available officially.
Right.
Never. They were distributed, let's say, let's say on the black market, because they were forbidden. But they were distributed in the form of vinyls, tapes,
Right.
And,
Yes.
and anyway, despite all the barriers and obstacles, we knew all the Western music,
Yes.
Beatles that time, Rolling Stones, Smokey, many of them, then disco. So we had that. So, but I never had a chance when I was young in the Soviet Union to buy the vinyl with the Western music. I've never had a chance.
You've never had a chance, not yet.
Yes, I can tell you my favorite song ever is the composition from The Godfather,
Yes.
written by Nina Rota, and Speak Softly Love.
Yes. Yes. That's a wonderful choice.
That's my favorite ever. And I had many very interesting cases with these compositions, very strange cases. And maybe not within the frame of this interview, if we don't have time, but I had a very, very interesting coincidences, let's say.
Right. Well, you
Yes.
can tell us.
A few years ago, I was passing by Harrods in London.
Yes.
And usually on the corner, the musicians play or sing.
Yes.
They make their living. Okay, I was passing by, and there was a young woman singing something, and below there was a description that I'm a student of the conservatory, and please donate, I'm making my living on that. Okay, in the process of passing by, when I was, let's say, 2-3 meters away, she looked at me, stopped abruptly singing what she has sang, and started singing Speak Softly Love.
Unbelievable. That is a wonderful,
Yes, I was
spooky story.
exactly. It's weird.
Very
So,
weird.
of course, I approached her and gave her like £5. That's a lot of money because I was shocked.
Yes, it is.
I was shocked. Might be they took me for the Italian. I don't know why. There could be 1 million explanation, but that's the fact. And the even more weird case that it was like 5-6 years ago. 2 weeks ago, on the same place,
Right.
there was a young man playing violin.
Right.
And when I passed by, the same happened. He stopped playing violin and started playing Godfather.
That makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck as well.
At the same place, the same corner of Harrods.
That is just wow. That is really spooky. Thank you for sharing that story with us. Absolutely amazing.
Look, I'm not giving any explanations, but
No.
the only thing I can confirm that's happened to me. That's it.
That's right. It's amazing. I love it.
And
Now,
this is my favorite song.
That's your favorite song.
I can listen it non-stop.
Oh, it's beautiful as well.
24/365.
Yes.
Maybe it touches a special structure of my soul, the chords, I don't know why, but...
Yeah, it's nice when you've got a song that touches your heart and things, and you're able to say it's your favorite as well. I'll have to hunt that one out and have a listen to it, because I have heard it before and I absolutely love it as well. Now, where can listeners follow you and buy your music, Eduard?
Look, the first single was released 3 weeks ago. It's on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Amazon Music, on the main streaming channels. There are videos on YouTube and Facebook. And the album is going to be released, I believe, 6th or 7th of June.
Yeah.
Also on all the streaming channels. And some CDs and vinyls going to be produced very soon. And to be honest, I don't know. I'm working with the distribution company Nova.
Yeah.
They take care of that. Where they're going to send it, I don't know at the moment.
Because there's nobody quite a long waiting list, but maybe you'll be able to jump the queue there and get some vinyls out quick smart. Because you've got the artwork there and it looks absolutely fantastic.
We'll see. My principle is I do my best, and the rest is beyond my control.
That's right. So we'll watch out for the CDs and vinyls. And of course, you can get the downloads now, by the way, but or wherever you get your downloads from. And I believe that you've got a website as well, haven't you? And it is the Shyfrin Alliance music.com, is it?
True. There is a website. I'm not active there, but there is a lot of information there.
Indeed, and there's merchandise on there as well. So, yes, there's plenty there to keep people entertained. Now, unfortunately, we've run out of time, Eduard. So I would just like to say thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's just been wonderful speaking to you, and you're a brilliant man there. And I know that you're going to go even further than you already have.
I'm afraid it's a little bit exaggerated.
You're just too modest.
I like the saying of my favorite humorist writer, Mark Twain.
Yeah.
Saying the rumors about my death were a little bit exaggerated.
I love it. Now, finally, Eduard, would it be possible for you to please introduce your latest single, Unconditional, taken from your brand new album, Upside Down Blues, which is from yourself there, Eduard. And of course, you've got the Shyfrin Alliance with you as well.
Yeah. I already told you, Unconditional. It's, let's say, coming from my deepest self. This unconditional, because in my childhood I was loved unconditionally, and then it's never been the case afterwards. And I'm afraid that some people have never ever experienced unconditional love. And I wish that everybody in his or her life be loved unconditionally. Because finally that's what can improve our world and make it a better place.
That's wonderful. Eduard Shyfrin, thank you so much for joining me on the show, and all the best. And would you like to come on the show again in the future?
It was greatest pleasure. It was a pleasure talking to you.
No problem at all.
You ask a very good question. Questions.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
See you soon. Bye
Please,
for now.
See you soon. Bye for now.